Today we're talking about why the INFJ craves deep connections. Because I know you've been in a situation where you continuously get signs from the people around you that you are way too deep, you want deep connections and people are not ready for it. And you would love to be actually superficial and not care as much as others, but there is this longing of, I want to have deep conversations. I want to connect with somebody on a deep level. I'm not about small talk, and this is something that my soul is yearning for and isn't everybody. So why is it that we really crave it so much when others seem to be able to go through life without it and they're actually content? At least that's how it looks like to us. So today we're going to talk about why the INFJ craves those deep connections, because it's important to understand why, because only then you can actually see, is that something that I should change? Is there a way for me to change? Or is it that I'm just looking at the wrong places where I could find it? We're going to talk about how our biggest strength, our NI, and the fact that we can make space for other people can be our biggest hurdle in life, and how we can use just a couple of boundaries that will make our life experience amazing. Because it's not about you depriving yourself from deep connections. It's not about you just accepting the fact that people don't want deep connections and you're going to feel just sad and isolated and alone because you're not going to get that, right? We're really going to change that perspective, because I have been in both of those situations. I have been in situations where I felt this way, like I just want to be honest with somebody. I just want us to connect on an authentic level. Why is this so hard for others? And there's no way I would want to give this up. How can I live a life where this is just deprived from me? And I've also experienced a way of life where I don't feel this at all. And it's not because I have just given up and accepted, but because I've gotten this need fulfilled in just way more healthy ways. Before we go deeper into this, remember Bootcamp is launched, and until tomorrow you have access to the early bird prize. You have a countdown, you find the link in the description. Make sure that you join Bootcamp until then. If you decide to join later, so you have time until next Saturday, then you still have access to it. You just have to pay the full price. So if you're interested, use that time, use that coupon code and get access to it right away. One of our qualities as INFJs is that we can hollow ourselves out. And we can do this in order to make other people feel seen. That is what NI is all about. It's not what it's all about, but it's this combination of NI and FE. So NI, our introvert intuition, right? This is our imagination. It's our way of creating a new world for ourselves and for our future. And if you combine this with your connection to the outside world, with the connection with other people, what we're able to do is to create space. Because people very often don't feel seen and don't feel heard because they're surrounded by people who are so in their own world that they don't see the other person, even if they're right in front of us. We as INFJs have the capacity to make other people feel seen. How do we do this? We hollow ourselves out. So that means we have less opinions, we have less preferences, we have less judgments about others. We actually are in our mind and create this world for ourselves that makes us feel comfortable, which allows others to really express themselves as much as possible, and it doesn't really affect us at all. It's not like a boundary gets crossed or we have different opinions, we make people uncomfortable, so therefore they make themselves smaller. This is one of our qualities. This is something we can do, and other people experience this as very comforting. And this is why so many people open up to you, because they feel like, oh, you actually understand them. You allow them to be themselves. When other people show them, oh, I see the world a little bit differently, and therefore, you cannot open yourself up to me that much because you're going to know that I do have a judgment about it. Because sometimes we do have judgments about other people, but it's not like we express it outwardly or that we have a judgment that actually makes people uncomfortable. It's like, this wouldn't work for me. It's not something I would do, but I'm totally okay with you being this way. So the problem with this is that we can go overboard with it. And every personality type does this with their first function. And throughout the years, we actually learn where our boundaries are at, because this can be a really, really big problem for every personality type that you just go overboard. The ESTP goes overboard in their SE. At some point, they do things that are way too risky, way too adrenaline, based, do things that are just in the moment without thinking it through. And they recognize, okay, I need to be a little bit more careful. Like, that's just not a healthy way to live. ENFJs, ESFJs, same thing. For them, it's FE. They get so much into this, my emotions, and this is so important, and I'm going to express, and not hold myself back. The problem with this is the more you express yourself, the more people can use this against you. The more they know, okay, that is what makes that person excited. That's what makes that person sad. That's what they're all about. So they actually are all into their emotions, and that's where they go overboard if they're not healthy. That's why we always talk about this loop of the first and third function. For INFJs, it's the NITI loop. For ESTPs, it's the SEFE loop, or for the ENFJ, the FESE loop, right? It really is based on that. Because this is our biggest power, the first function, and we overestimate it. We think we can go too far with it. I've seen this so much with myself, with other INFJs, but also with other types. But in this example, when it comes to INFJs, this NI overboard thing where we hollow ourselves out to such an extent that we lose connection to real life. Like, I didn't want to have any conversations with anybody. I was just in my head. I was listening to music. I just didn't want to face reality. And I also lost myself in this process in order to accommodate somebody else. And we feel we have infinite power in this. Our first function is our super function, but we still have boundaries there. We still have some kind of limits we have to protect. And this is actually where this need comes from of having deep connections. Because guess what you need if you hollow yourself out? You need somebody to fill up that space. And you do this through deep connections. Because if you would allow yourself to completely hollow yourself out and this other person shares their entire world, yes, it can fill yourself up. But the problem with this is that, there is a limit to it, and that other person is never going to be able to live a life that is completely in alignment with who you want to be. Meaning, no matter how much you like another person, there will be qualities about the way of their thinking that is going against your worldview or how you see the world. And at some point, this is going to bother you. You're going to protect yourself. You're going to stand up for yourself. And that's when people get uncomfortable because, for the longest time, you seemed so interested in my life. I thought you were this one person. And now you actually show signs of, no, you are an individual. You have your own rules. You have your own preferences. And I now have to accept that. And that's when things get really, really problematic. So what do we do about that? Well, first off, we got to understand that the reason why we need such deep connections is that we hollow ourselves out so much. And that maybe those deep connections aren't really the healthiest. Because if you think about it, what are those deep connections based on? I can tell you about me and about the experience I've had with INFJs, and they were all based on what that person wants, what their preferences is, what is important to them, that you want to be part of their life. Because when you think about those deep connections, how many of those people are really in your world? How many of them do really understand what your future plans are, what your type of music is, what your kind of understanding of life is? What are the things that excite you and they want to join you in that? And it's not even their fault. It's because we have solely focused on them. I was so super focused in my early 20s on my best friend's taste in music, taste in art, the things that made her upset. Same thing went for my relationships because I wanted to escape my life. There was nothing that made me excited about my life. So I always wanted to be in other people's worlds. And I see this with INFJs all the time. And so when I got to this place where I really went overboard, I had a complete reality break and I had to change something, I recognized this isn't correct. This is codependency. This is not me focusing on who I am. I didn't even know my preferences. This typical example I always give, the INFJ goes to the movies with their friends and, nowadays with COVID, who goes to the movies? But, I've been using this example for almost a decade. You go to the movies with your friends and it's I don't care what we watch. You decide. That's the typical INFJ answer. because we really didn't care. But we have taught ourselves not to care. I wasn't aware of what I liked, what I wanted, what is important to me, because I had hollowed myself out. The moment I knew I had to change and I started filling myself up, my cup, filling my life up with things that are important to me, I actually started to listen to myself. I started to hear myself, to be aware of the things that I want. And I sort of started creating a life that filled me up just by the way I was living it. And then it became that I was just allowing people into my world that added to that, where we had a win-win situation, where it wasn't me hollowing myself out completely to make the other person be seen, because it was happening to such an extent that it wasn't healthy, that it was enabling, that it was like I didn't exist. But you are just as important as everybody else. You can still make space for others. You can still make them feel seen. Trust me, it works, but it doesn't have to be at such a high price that you have been paying. It doesn't have to be that you're so concerned with their life and you're doing this in order to feel connected. The more you fill yourself up, the less you have to fill your life up with other people's lives. And it's still at a healthy amount. You're not going to be a bad friend. It feels like this in the moment. I know that. I've experienced that. But, now it's healthy. And I don't even feel that any of my friends or any of my connections have come up to me and said, oh, you're, taking care of yourself. And like, that's a bad thing. Let me take a step back here. I've actually experienced this with this one person where I had given up so much of myself. I have really sacrificed. I have, done so much for them. And the moment I said, I'm going to make sure I'm okay, I'm going to do something healthy that I would actually recommend to any other person, that person was really mad. It was like, oh, okay, so now you're not being a good friend. You're just taking care of yourself, all of that. Yes, it happens. But I had gotten to a point where I knew, so that's their opinion, and maybe I have helped them condition this opinion over the years because I've always pretended that I'm okay with the situation how it was. But only then you recognize that this person had a wrong image of you all along. Because so often we go about it thinking the other person is aware of how much we're sacrificing for them. They're aware how much we're hollowing ourselves out to make them feel seen, how much we actually put in this relationship. What they experience, though, is just a normal person who, by accident or by coincidence, is similar to them, and that's why you bond so well. The person can only see what you show them. So if you're not showing them this is who you are and this is what you're sacrificing for them, but if you're being this person who sacrifices who they are from the beginning and you're not showing them the price you're paying for that, which is, as I said, being yourself, how are they supposed to know? And then, of course, there are going to be people who will have some negative reactions to you choosing yourself. But that is the only way you can make sure that you feel connected, that you feel like you're not alone, that you feel that you're connected to the world, that you don't feel like there's something missing. It doesn't mean that you're going to be a superficial person. Not at all. It actually means that it's going to be way more authentic than you ever thought possible, because there's always some lack of authenticity if you're not sharing yourself with others in such a way that is different to what they like, where you allow yourself to show them that there are aspects of you who see the world differently than them and who has judgments about who they really are, because that's the truth. You just had been hiding it. So there is a lack of authenticity that we pay for the price of having another person being seen. And you can find a new balance that allows other people to feel connected with you, to feel connected with themselves, but most importantly, you feel whole. You feel in alignment with everybody, your life, the universe. You feel as part of a community. You don't feel alone, and you don't feel like you have to give up something. It's a different way of approaching life, and I wish every single one of you to get to this place. So start taking those steps. Understand what is important to you and start building that. A great way to do that is through bootcamp. This is what we do there all year long. So we do those bootcamps 4 times a year. It's for 6 weeks, and every single time we work on those different aspects in our life that help us make that INFJ epic life a reality. Join now. You have access to the early bird price until tomorrow, March 28th. You can join until April 2nd. That's when we have our first live call. We don't have any late admission, so make sure you are on it. All the information you find in links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video Why the INFJ Seems Too Deep for Others.